Everyone, this is Michael Scott Peters, the U.S. Youth Observer to the United Nations, and we're here today with Davis Smith, the CEO and founder of Cotopaxi. Davis, we'll give you a second to introduce yourself, and this is going out to all of our American youth. We're excited to be here with you, and so let's hear a little bit about you.
Sure. So I'm Davis Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of a brand called Cotopaxi. We're an outdoor gear brand. We make backpacks and jackets and tents and sleeping bags and other outdoor gear, but with a humanitarian focus. And so our slogan is Gear for Good. And we use our profits to support poverty alleviation. We employ refugees. I'm a big believer that businesses have a responsibility to give back and to lift their communities.
Davis, I should mention, so this past year I was serving as the student body president at Utah State. You've done a Questival up there before, and I know that really animated a lot of students. And then my sister this past summer was in Mexico on a humanitarian trip. She was using one of your backpacks. Yeah. And so I know you do a lot of social good. Maybe could you tell us a little bit about, what inspired you? How did you get started? And, maybe a little bit more about what you do today?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Latin America, and I moved there when I was 4 years old, and it really shaped who I was. One of my very earliest memories was seeing children my age, 3 or 4 years old, that were completely naked on the sides of the street, and it shocked me. Even at that age, I started recognizing that something was different. Like, I didn't understand why I got to live one life when somebody else lived completely different than me. And what I learned from that young age is that I was really lucky. I wasn't smarter, I wasn't harder working or more deserving. I was just lucky in where I had been born. And from that young age, I knew that I needed to use my life to help others. And it's something that I've thought about every day since I was a child. And so I became an entrepreneur after I graduated from college and spent 10 years building a couple different businesses, and ultimately discovered that there was a way to kind of build this a mission into a business. So I kind of tackled both of these passions that I had, a love for building businesses, but a passion for giving back, and I could build that into the same thing.
That's excellent. I think it's very inspiring what you've done, and I think it really is cool how it hits close to home. We sent out a tweet last night and kind of wanted to get some questions from the audience and hear from American youth. And one of the top questions was, what is a current initiative you're working on, something you're most excited about right now?
I'll share two things briefly. The first is what we call a card writing program. So when we first started this business, I would write a handwritten thank you card to all of our customers. And that didn't last very long because it started taking up a lot of time, and then my whole team started helping write these, and pretty soon we didn't have time to do that, and so we started exploring other ways we could leave this personal touch. And I'd moved to the U.S. from Brazil, and I'd discovered refugees and here in Salt Lake City, and I started learning about what that meant. I'm a little embarrassed to say I didn't understand that exactly. Having grown up in Latin America and spent a lot of my adult life there, I didn't fully understand what a refugee even meant. And but it touched me as I met them and I heard their stories, and I wanted to make a difference. And so we started having refugees help us with this card writing. We gave them their first job right when they were resettled here. They write the thank you cards in their native language because they're still learning English. And we've had over 100 refugees go through this card writing program. We help them. They joined a job club that we've partnered with the International Rescue Committee, the IRC, which helps resettle refugees here in the U.S. And we help them, learn basic job skills, how to create a resume, how to do a job interview, how to follow up after a job interview. We've helped them open up bank accounts so they understand how to do a direct deposit, like some of these basic skills they need to have. So that's one that I'm really passionate about. Another is around some of the work we're doing in Bolivia. I lived in Bolivia for a number of years. I lived in a community that makes about $200 a year. They live in extreme poverty. But they have llamas, and so we've gone to these communities and we're buying llama wool from tiny little communities all up and down Bolivia, the Altiplano, the highlands of Bolivia, and we use this llama wool to knit sweaters, to make. In fact, these socks that I'm wearing are made of llama. I don't know I don't know if I'm flexible enough that you could see that on the camera, but we make these amazing products out of llama wool, and we're able to impact these beautiful communities and these beautiful people that live there in Bolivia.
That's excellent. I think two awesome initiatives. I especially appreciate your work with refugees. I spent this past summer in the Dominican Republic working with some refugees and victims of human trafficking, and I think it's something that you don't realize until you're there. It was with Operation Underground Railroad, and you kind of realize this is a big problem around the world, but even here close at home. And I guess one question I'd have is, speaking again to our American youth audience, I think this is the refugee crisis and these bigger issues are things we see in the news, and it might be a little bit out of our reach, but how can we bring these global issues back and close to home? How can we do something like you and really make an impact here locally?
So the beautiful thing is there are ways to serve locally. We don't have to travel to the Middle East or to the Dominican Republic to work with Haitian, refugees. But, here in Salt Lake City, for example, and this is a, relatively small city, but, there's 60,000 refugees that have been resettled here over the last 20 years. And so there are amazing opportunities every single day for us to interact with people that need our help. And it might be as simple as, when I walk out our door here at Cotopaxi, there's a few homeless men that kind of are always outside, and they've been there for the 2 years that we've moved into this building. One of them, for example, his name's Dave, and I love talking to him. I'll give him a hug. I talk to him about his day, and you just help him feel human, because he has as much value as I do. And sometimes we just walk past these people as if they're not alive. And I think just those small moments where you just lift somebody's day, make it a little bit better. There's opportunities to do that every single day, just in our normal lives, just walking from work to our cars. And then there's obviously, if you want to get more involved, there's plenty of ways to do that. Go find an organization. For me, it's the International Rescue Committee. I had my 40th birthday a few months ago. I was kind of scared about it. I'm not really a birthday person either, so I didn't really want to celebrate it. But
you still look very young.
Yeah, thank you. But I ended up holding this birthday party celebrating refugees, and I had 3 refugee entrepreneurs that came and cooked. They have little restaurants, and they came and cooked catered the birthday party. And we had some items set out, like kits, where we were putting together for refugees that were resettled here. And so we ended up having $33,000 raised on my birthday for these refugees. It was like the best birthday I'll ever have in my whole life, probably. I mean, it was just really special. And there's just opportunities for us to use, the networks that we have, the relationships that we have, to go build and lift others. And so I love doing that.
I love that. And you actually reminded me, one of my very favorite quotes is, I don't remember who it's by at the moment, but it says, you should treat the janitor the same as you do the CEO. And I mean, here we have a CEO of an awesome company taking care of homeless people, like the way you go out and give Dave a hug and talk to him. I think that says a lot about your character and a lot about this company, so well done. Our very last question, this is one, again, going back to our American youth. If you had any last tips, a lot of what I do as youth observer is to travel to different college campuses and get youth involved in the work of the United Nations. I think there's a lot of young people who want to get involved and do and create social good. I think just sometimes we don't know how, right? And sometimes as young people we maybe are afraid because we're like, oh man, the big decisions are to be made by the older people, right? And who am I to be 18 years old or 20 years old and make a difference? So what would be your kind of last piece of advice to young people on how they can get started now and how they can get involved in social good?
So it has to start young. If it doesn't start young, I'll tell you what, it just gets a lot harder. When you're 40, if you haven't done any of this stuff, it's going to be a lot harder to just start doing it, right? So one of the reasons I'm so passionate about our mission and our social mission and the work we do is because I started young. I discovered a love for helping others when I was a child. And as a young adult, when I was in college, I got involved in a number of different things that really kind of stoked my fire in this way. I went and did an internship in Peru where I met a little boy that was shining shoes, a little street kid, and I'd find him every single day and bring him food, and it was like this daily ritual that I had. And after 13 or 14 years, I actually went back to Peru, and I tried to find this little boy, and I actually found him. He's an adult now, and he still works in the streets, and It just it's really kind of a heartbreaking story, but someone that this little boy Edgar changed my life, and he put me on a different path. And I've now helped this young man go through a 3-year program where he's learned to be a tour guide. He's graduating this upcoming month, and he wants to be a tour guide. And I'm doing what I can to help him achieve his dreams. But it was every single day I've thought of Edgar. I think of this little boy that had no opportunity because of where he was born. And that drove me every single day. And I think as a young person, you need to find that. You know, who is your Edgar? Who is this person that you can look to every single day that can inspire you to look beyond yourself? So.
Well, perfect. Davis, thank you so much. I think this has been a truly inspiring message, thinking about who's your Edgar, who's your Dave, how can we make a difference as young people. I've been very inspired today. Davis, I want to thank you for your time, and we'll look forward to continuing up with this. If you haven't heard about Cotopaxi, check out the website as well. They're doing some amazing things, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next adventure.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.